Hey, this is Alex Abraham. Thanks for coming back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to build your perfect business. You see online a lot of people say, oh, you need all this overhead, you need a fancy office, you have to have a bunch of employees. And some people saying, oh, you just need to make $5,000 a month to live in the Philippines, right? So you kind of have to figure out, where do you fit in that big spectrum of $5,000 a month or building a big $5 million company with lots of overhead or complexity, but a lot of money, versus a smaller company that has maybe more freedom with your time, not as much complexity, but maybe not as much reward financially in the end. So in this video, I'm going to break down the steps of how to build your perfect dream ideal business. Step one, you have to figure out what your end game is. Whether you're starting a brand new business or you have an existing business, but you're still feeling like you're lost, you're a little stuck. You have to figure out what is your end game, not just in terms of how much money you want to make. It is figuring out what type of business do you want? Do you want that solopreneur photography business? You know, you make 15, 20 grand a month. You have a bunch of clients who love you. You have no employees, no office, no staff. It's low complexity, low overhead, but it's heavily reliant on you, right? So if you go on vacation, your business isn't making money, right? You don't have a bunch of revenue. So yeah, you have a good lifestyle, but it's a little more solopreneur, freedom-based business, not so much maximizing revenue and financials business. As an example, I know someone whose business makes $5.5 million per month, but their payroll, if they make $0, they're paying this out, is $1.1 million per month. And for some of you, that might be like, forget that, no thank you, that sounds like a nightmare. Some of you think, oh, like that's a challenge, but I eventually want to be at the point where I have that much responsibility. So before you do anything else in your business, before you get employees or start getting clients, map out what is your end game. Is it making hundreds of thousands a month? You have the financial growth, but decent employee overhead, decent complexity, or is it no complexity, low complexity, a bunch of complexity? Because everybody's different, right? Some people respond to stress differently. Some people, if they're only making $10,000 a month in their head, they would be so stressed. They're like, I know I can make $1 million a month. I know I can make even $500,000 a month. I'm only making $10,000 per month. That limits my options. Other people, they're like, doing what I love. I'm making $10,000 a month. I have a bunch of clients who love me. I'm chilling. Like, this is all I need. So again, you see the spectrum. There's no right way or wrong way. It's just about what your end game is. And of course, I'm going to continue the video. There's other steps to this, but this is number one because everything else follows after this. If you understand your end game, that's the first step. Number two is setting milestones. And I say milestones, not goals, because a lot of the time when I work with people, they have two different things they're working through. Number one, they say, oh, I just want to make an extra $500 a month, $1,000 a month. I'm not saying that's not a lot of money or anything like that. I'm just saying for you to go through the work of starting a business, getting an LLC, having an idea, putting in the work, it's like for $500 a month, that's like $125, $150 a week. You could probably go on Uber Eats and just deliver some Starbucks for that. And again, not saying that's a bad thing or like taking down people that do that, but it's like, if you have a goal so small, you don't really believe. You're dipping your toe in the water. You're like, I can make $500 a month or $500 a week or whatever, and you're not really committing yourself, right? You're interested, you're not committed. And that's the first place you got to look at. If your goals are too small, or if you say a big goal and you're like, no, that's never going to happen, you have to look internally and think, well, do I have the game plan? Do I have the business model? Do I understand what I'm doing? But also, do I have the self-belief? Right? Do I really believe I'm going to be committed to putting in the work? Because if not, then you set your goals really, really low. Then if you fail, you're like, oh, it's just $500 a week. Like, it wasn't going to do anything anyway. And it's kind of a cop-out of dipping your toe in the water. So that's one issue you have to look for. Number two, it's the opposite. People set huge goals. Like, I'm going to make $1 million a month in 12 months. And I look at that as a form of scarcity and get rich quick, which is also giving them kind of an excuse if they don't hit that overambitious goal. And again, I'm all about ambition, I'm all about drive, but the question is, why do you need to make even $100,000 a month in 12 months? Like, what is the rush? I feel like when people rush, they get desperate. When you're desperate, you're not operating at a position of strength or helping other people. You're just saying, I need to hit that number, I need to hit that number. And it's like, why do you need to make $100,000 a month in 12 months? Like, is it to live? Like, do you need that to survive? A lot of the time people think, oh, so I can feel good about myself, so I know I could do it. It's like, you can make $1,000 a month, yes, then make 5,000. right? Then make 10,000, then make 20, because as you go up these levels, there's different challenges, there's different problems. Making 100,000 a month is not gonna solve all your problems in life or with your ego. It's gonna add more problems, right? Especially people know that you're making all this money, they're gonna be wanting handouts, and you're gonna find ways to spend money that you never did before. But I digress. I'm saying that you need to take it up level by level. It's good to say, hey, I wanna make 100,000 a month, but what's wrong with saying that's a milestone long term? I don't need to do that in a year, even 5 years, right? What if I can just make my first $1,000? And again, not saying like, I'm not trying to kind of say my other thing wasn't right with your goals are too small, but that's not the goal. It's just a milestone. Like, hey, let me make my first $1,000 a month, or like my first 1,000 quick, right? Then, okay, I can make that. Then let me make $5,000. It's just more, how can I do everything as fast as possible? But how can I do it just level by level, right? You don't just jump from Pee Wee football to the NFL, right? You do Pee Wee, then you do middle school, then you do high school, then you do prep school, then you do college, then you do tryouts, then you do the combine, then you do the NFL, preseason, then regular season, then the Super Bowl, right? So how can you just take it level by level and learn challenges, learn problems, how to overcome them? Because if you make 10,000 a month, you have the foundation to make $100,000 a month, but you have to make $50,000 a month first to understand, okay, like what are the different complexities? Is this too many clients? Am I working with the right clients? So don't just focus on the number, focus on the overall business, right? Am I working with the right clients with the right problem that I have the right solution for? You know, you have to work out those things that maybe aren't numerical. Don't just say, oh, I want to make 100,000 a month in 6 months, because you're gonna subside on other aspects of the business. You're gonna take your eye off the ball with client satisfaction, right? With your marketing, with other things, because you have this get rich quick goal. So again, it's not bad to say, oh, I wanna just, let me make my first $1,000, like then we'll go from there. But also don't say, oh, my overarching goal, like if I could just make 1,000 a month, that in a year or two, that's gonna be great, right? So think, hey, how can I make my first 1,000? Let me make 5, let me make 10, let me make 20, and it'll happen organically as it's supposed to happen. So let's say you are making money, things are going well, you're already in business, but you have a new target, you have a new milestone. Let's say that is 100,000 a month, right? Let's say that is your perfect business. You have to reverse engineer and figure out, okay, am I a wedding photographer? Do I charge 5,000 a month? Okay, how many clients do I need per month to reach $100,000 per month? And you need to ask yourself these questions, because you need to think, does this make sense? Like, am I in the right business, or am I in the right business, but do I have the right type of clientele, right? Because with a wedding, it might be a day process. So you can do maybe 3 a week. You might have to travel, you know, like, so 3 a week at 5,000 per, that's 15,000 a week. That's 60K a month. That's a great business. But again, you're off your goal by a pretty substantial amount. So you have to figure out, do I just lower my goal? Do I get employees to do more weddings? Do I want that complexity? So you have to reverse engineer your revenue goals, and that makes it simple, because then you think, okay, if I just need X amount of clients at X amount of dollars per week or per month, that's gonna help me hit that revenue goal. It's not easy, it's very simple though, because then you start to think, okay, where is the issue? Right? Where's the bottleneck? Am I not getting enough leads? Am I not getting the right leads who are willing to pay this amount? Am I not getting the right jobs? Do I need to switch my niche? And so you need to map this out on a whiteboard, on a piece of paper, on a spreadsheet, because then you start to think, okay, if that's my revenue milestone and I'm right here, and like you can figure out, are clients not paying me enough? Am I not getting enough clients? You can look at the bottlenecks in this marketing and sales process, and you can figure out, hey, what do I need to do in the next 90 days to fix that? And that'll give you that simplicity to say, okay, if I want to make 150,000 a month, I need this many more employees, or I need to charge this much more, I need this many more clients. So it makes your revenue goals more palpable versus saying, I'm going to make 100,000 a month. How? I have no idea. It's just a goal. At that point, it's a dream. Right? It's like winning the lottery. How are you going to win the lottery? I don't know. I'm just going to keep scratching. You know, I'm going to keep getting tickets. Don't have dreams, have goals, have milestones, have targets. So the whole point of this section is to figure out what is your revenue target and how do you map that out in a very simple way. So if you're not achieving it, you know exactly what the issue is. And if you focus on that, you'll solve it. So aside from revenue, like I mentioned in the last section, overhead is a huge one, right? You watch Entourage, you watch movies, you watch TV shows, these fancy CEOs and executives, they have 3 assistants and someone gets them coffee every day and they have this fancy office in downtown Miami or Los Angeles. And you think, in all of our heads when we start in our business, we all think, I need that to be legit. Like if I don't have that, if I don't have the fancy office or the fancy suits, I'm not a legit business owner. I mean, I wear this every day. I wear a polo, some shorts, and I conduct a really successful, growing, thriving business, but it's the comfort of my home. I have my beautiful dog here. My fiance is at home sometimes. And so you got to think about, what is my perfect business? Maybe the overhead isn't for me. I know it's not for me, right? Like I don't want an office. I don't want, a bunch of employees. I want to maximize revenue, maximize client satisfaction for the least amount possible, right? Because overhead, that kills businesses, right? Waking up every single day knowing, if I don't make money, I have to pay X amount per month. Like the client I mentioned to you, the friend of mine, he pays 1.1 million in payroll. That's not office, that's not even other expenses. He wakes up every single month at 0 in revenue, but that payroll has to be paid to keep this machine going. So you have to know yourself. I don't know you. You know yourself better than anybody else. You know what you really want. You know if you want that overhead, you want the stress, you want the responsibility because you want to be Grant Cardone, you want to have 500 employees. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, do you really want that, or do you think society is going to judge you if you don't have that? If you don't have the assistant, if you don't have the fancy office. I got Uber Eats. If I want Starbucks, I got Chipotle downstairs right now. So you can work things out where if you want the time efficiency, if you want people to help you run your business, get an assistant in the Philippines, right? Get Uber Eats. There's all these different things you can do now to maximize your time if that's your goal, while paying the least amount possible and not having the insurance and the payroll and stuff like that. And so again, this is just practical business advice from someone who's had the assistant, had the office, and had some of the fancy things. Don't think that you need that to be successful, but at the same time, if you want it, go for it. On the flip side, I have some clients who are like, Alex, the day I get an employee is the day I stop my business. Like they do not want to manage people. They know themselves. They know I'm going to show up at 8 o'clock, leave at 6, get the job done and go home. I don't have to answer midnight calls. I don't have office. So think of where you are on that spectrum and map that out on your perfect business plan. The last step is complexity, step number 5. So I have a lot of clients who they want to do everything, right? They're like, I want to sell a $10 product and a $50 video course and a $100 event and this and that. And I'm like, do you know how many employees, do you know how much complexity that's adding to your business, where at the end of the day, keep the main thing the main thing. If you have an ideal client, you want to help them achieve a result, what is the simplest, most effective method? What solution is going to help them accomplish that with the least amount of complexity as possible? Complexity, whether it's a buyer, if they're confused, they're not going to buy. Or complexity in taking action, that leads to inaction, right? You want to keep things simple, not complex. But again, if you want to have all these different products, all these different services, you want to have all these different businesses at the same time, you're going to need staff. You're going to need all these employees to help you manage all these complex products and services and offerings. So think about, for you and your business, do I need to run an in-person event that's going to cost $100,000? You don't need to be Grant Cardone. You don't need to be Tony Robbins. Or, I have clients that do in-person events. That works for them. They take on that risk. They like it. They like the complexity of who's going to provide the microphones and the lighting and the stage and where's it going to be and all these different things. They love that. You might be like, I'll do a webinar. I don't do in-person events. I'll do webinars where you've probably seen this background before. I mean, yeah, I could do them with the beach in the background. I could do them outside. Like I do them with my polo. I like the lack of complexity because I can still help people. I can deliver my message, but it's on my terms. It's my way with as least cost as possible with maximum upside. So again, everybody's different. You might want to be the next Tony Robbins. You want events with 15,000 people. I'm not dissuading your goals. I'm just asking you if that's really what you want, go for it and take on the stress and be prepared for it. But only if you want to. Don't think that I have to do that to look successful. The whole idea of this video is how to perfect your dream business, how to build your perfect, ideal business. Not anybody else's, yours. So think of this video, look at all the different timestamps I have in this video, write it down and see, oh, do I feel like I have this insecurity about needing an assistant or having to do in-person events versus virtual webinars? Or do you feel like you're perfectly on track? Right? I just want to make this video to challenge you because Everybody's different, but I want you to have your dream business, not somebody else's. So if you have any comments or questions, comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.